All right, everyone, welcome and good morning or good afternoon, whatever time that you're practicing. As you can see here, I've got a whole array of props for the yin practice. So you can grab yourself whatever you need, hit pause if you're practicing this video with a recording. And then I'll go ahead and invite us into our seats. I've got my hips raised up on a block right now, and I'm just sitting in virasana like so. You could also sit, in a gentle cross-legged seat. If your knees don't reach the ground, place some blocks there for them. But the goal would be to set yourself up in a way that you can be both comfortable and supported as we take our opening 5-minute meditation here. So starting to bring some silence into the experience. And that might look like a little more attention to the breath. Really not too much to quote unquote do here, but rather the invitation to be aware of what exists here in this present moment, in the here and the now. And to be aware of that with acceptance, so that there's some general agreement with what's present. As always, if you find that this is a bit of an edge, just know that you're welcome to open your eyes at any moment, look around your space. You could even roll the head, roll the shoulders. But for just about another 2.5 minutes here, invitation to be in silence. The longer you stay here, the more you probably start to just become the observer of what is here. You don't necessarily have to move with each of the thoughts, but you can find that stillness as you observe the thoughts move, as you observe the breath move, as you observe the sensation in your experience move. Good. So nicely done. Wherever you're at with that, meditation practice is a growing edge, just like all these other postures that we do. So at this time, I'll invite you to begin the playlist if you'd like to listen along. We're back to Garth Stevenson. This album is called Flying. And then we'll go ahead and make our way to our first yin posture. Will be a butterfly pose for today. Butterfly pose is with the soles of your feet together, your hips raised up onto some sort of support. As you can see, I've got a folded blanket here. And yeah, just smooth it all out. Try to get rid of any of the creases in the props, for example. It's kind of similar to how you would, if you were making a bed, you flatten everything out and you get into an integrity with it as much as possible. I've got my 2 blocks underneath my thighs as well. And if there's some desired support for the head, because you see the head is really just hanging here, which can feel quite nice, especially from the back of the neck. But some will actually like to take even another block and place it somewhere like so. So the forehead has some place to rest. Use this first minute to settle in. Feeling into not only what's possible, but what's desired. And the two don't always align, but I do think it's part of the dance that we get to do, ebbing and flowing back and forth between what's possible and what's desired. Ultimately, growing and expanding in that direction of the desire and of the potential. Because one of the things that happens as we take this journey to ourselves, we do the inner work. In yoga, we call it svadhyaya, self-study. We start to find out that desire actually it's deeply seated in our truest nature. And it too is something that we can come into integrity with. So if you need to make any adjustments in your posture, feel free to make them now to deepen the edge or to step back. Know that you can always actually do that. But I'll leave the next 3 or so minutes in silence. And the invitation is for you to try to bring as much of that silence and stillness into your experience as well here. Present with the edge of sensation, still, and holding for time. Any patterns of holding, softly releasing in these last 30 seconds or so. Excuse me. In your time, in your way, start to slowly make your way back up. You could use the strength of your hands and your arms outside your knees to collect your inner thighs closer towards one another again. Move the blocks out to the side and just lean back for some gentle windshield wipers. All right, let's come into caterpillar pose, please. So caterpillar, the legs are straight. I keep wearing these dark colors against this dark backdrop. Apologies if you can't see. But again, I'll use the option of these blocks just under the thighs, and upper body comes into flexion once again. So that means the thighs and the chest come closer towards one another. Your body will teach you where the edge is. And the learning comes from the agreement that's formed between the body and the mind. The body, in this instance, probably the hamstrings, probably still much of the whole posterior chain of fascia and muscle tissue that runs all the way. I mean, honestly, I feel it from the base of my skull all the way down the back of my neck, down my whole vertebral column, the muscles that surround the spine, right into the lower back. And the degree to which I experience that sensation is also determined by how much I can release my chin to my chest here. And it's not like forced action that I'm trying to squeeze my chin to my chest or anything. Just trying to see if there's anything holding that I could let go of. And sometimes we do use a little bit of movement to help us let go. A little bit of contraction. It's that squeeze of the fist, and then the releasing to more so feel the release. So for example, you could tighten your jaw for a moment, clench your teeth, but only to release a second later. Continuing down the posterior side of your body, what to speak of the sensation that exists on the back of your legs right now? Where the leg bones meet the hips, but also where the leg bones meet the knees, and the femur bones, I should say more specifically. And then any sensation that runs down the back of the lower leg bones. Acceptance of what is here. Really awareness of what is here with acceptance. And the fact that we're working in this yin style of yoga means that by the end of the hold, the edge, it might feel pretty edgy. So take one more breath in here. And slowly start to walk yourself up. Slow, slow, slow. Good. This time around, let's give ourselves a reverse table. So bend both of your legs. Check that the soles of your feet are not only, flat on the floor, as flat as possible, but the outer edges of the feet are parallel to the outer edges of the mat. Fingers point towards the toes and dial the fingers outwards now to kind of roll the shoulders back and use that to go up and back. Good. Setting the hips down. We'll do 2 more forward flexions in the spine and we'll have the hips in external rotation. So we'll come into a shoelace pose, please. I'm going to bring my blanket with me. I'll show all the variations as I usually do. So one is to keep the bottom leg straight, just cross one leg over and let the leg fall into external rotation like so. If the knee doesn't reach the ground, just place a block there and give yourself some support that way. You can get very creative with these blocks and how they want to work. Otherwise, I'll mirror you here. You can take your right hand under your right leg to your left ankle, draw the left ankle back outside the right hip. Similarly, if the knee doesn't touch the floor, place a support there for yourself. And you start to go for like knee to knee alignment here. I really just wiggle a bit from side to side. And I also find that flexion of the upper body sometimes helps me to get deeper external rotation at the hips. So I can come forward first, come into deeper rotation, and then come back. So I've started the timer. It will be 5 minutes here. As always, with any of these holds, if they feel as though they're too much, gently make your way out of the posture whenever you feel that you need to. Invitation to use this first minute here to just get acquainted with some of the sensations that you're experiencing. Could you breathe into your hips here? And for a minute, let's take a side bend off to the left. If you would like a block underneath the elbow for the left elbow, feel free. And then just feel that your whole right femur bone is still heavy towards the earth there. the inclination might be for it to want to come with us. And it's not heavy because you're forcing it down, it's just heavy because it's heavy. And it's got the weight of gravity, landing it back towards the top of your left leg, or the inside of your left leg. Deep breath in. Exhale here. Inhale, come up, 2 arms up. Exhale, twist to the right. You might even hook that. It's less of a hook, more of a brace, the left arm outside the right leg here. And for those of you who need, place a block behind. We'll only be here for about another minute. Once you're in the posture, you can find the yin-like essence that underlies it. You could even soften your gaze here. I'm starting to release that when you're ready, coming back to center. And we'll have an invitation to come forward now. If you want a block or a pillow, something to rest on here, might be nice. One of the things that I like to do sometimes when the sensation is quite high, I really feel that I'm at the cusp or at the edge with the sensation, is I just try to ask it, what is this? What is here? What am I experiencing here? And to not be overly presumptive that I know with any sense of absolute certainty what exists at this edge for me. But rather to be with it in an open-ended inquiry. Good, coming on up. Take your time. Nice and slow on doing this. If you want either windshield wipers or reverse table, feel free to give that to yourself. A couple of breaths before we get to the second side. Okay, setting up for the second side. You want to send that opposite leg long and just cross over. That's your first option. Otherwise, it's going to be left hand under left leg to right ankle and then draw it back. And your body will communicate to you. Your knees will communicate to you here. Ooh, this is a little tight. Can I get some support? Try to listen to the body and accommodate accordingly. I'll start the timer and we'll use this first minute to really just get ourselves in. Maybe there's a little wiggling from side to side. And then there's a watching and a noticing as you settle with what is. I was having a great conversation with a friend once about settling, and he was helping to broaden my understanding that settling doesn't just have this negative connotation that sometimes we hear. Oh, they settled for this, they settled for that. But actually, to settle, to exhale, to settle with what is, can be a really beautiful practice. So let's start with our side bend over here. If you'd like a block for underneath your right arm, forearm, you could do so like so. Just stretch the top arm up and over. Hopefully in all of this, you get that sense that you're taking your fascia, the gossamer-like tissue that encases all the muscles and the bones, and pulling it taut, stretching it out, almost like a pizza dough or something. Left leg stays heavy in that joint alignment of external rotation, while the upper body starts to take on some lateral flexion in the form of a side bend. Inhale, come up, and exhale, twist. I like to do these sort of large windmill-like movements. Don't force the rotation at your neck, especially. Good, unwinding and releasing the upper body forward. Last 30 seconds here. Awesome. Starting to slowly work yourself back up. Some nice deep work in the hips this morning before the day starts. Undoing the legs, any counter posture that you need, maybe even just a gentle shaking out of the backs of the thighs. And when you're ready, I'll invite us to come onto our backs. We'll move into a supported bridge. So this is going to be the first posture that moves our spine into extension. And to the degree that you feel ready for that, you could put, one block on the lowest height underneath the sacrum. You could do it on the tallest height, kind of spanning the width of the sacrum. So you don't want to go the other way. If you want tallest height, just know that it's going to require more extension. So you're going to be working with a different edge. I would start low if you're unsure. And actually what I'm probably going to do is actually stack 2 blocks on their lowest height and then use that as the resting spot for my sacrum. And I say all this because, I've started the timer, but in yin, it differs from restorative in that we're still looking to create that edge of sensation for ourselves. And so even if you're not at your edge capacity, but you're still experiencing sensation, be with that, settle with that. And similarly, if you are right up there at the cusp of that edge, to what degree of settling is available to you here? Depending on your mobility, depending on the way that you have your props set up underneath your sacrum, some students will even like to lengthen their legs. So it's really like you're more so laying on your back, but you've got the support of the block underneath. All right, that's great. Go ahead and soften through your legs. Bring them back to bent, soles of the feet flat on the floor if they were straightened. Press into the feet to lift the hips and slide your support out from underneath. And as a counter posture, let's just hug our knees to our chest and take some gentle circles. A couple of times the other way as well. And then where I'd love to invite us to go next is bananasana. Get back into the side bending for the spine. So first walk your upper body off to the right. And it's like you bring the whole upper body into like a half of a crescent shape. And then from there, you could start to slide first just your right leg down to the bottom right corner of your mat, maybe even further past off of it. And then incrementally slide your left leg over there as well. And you'll notice that like, okay, the more I slide my left leg to my right foot, the more tension I put through my whole left side body. Some of you will like to drape your arms up over your ears. So the biceps frame the ears. And the trick here, I think, is to try to keep heavy in the left hip. A lot of yin practitioners actually use sandbags for props. I'm going to use a bolster here just to kind of remind that whole left side of the body to stay weighted down. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. Then to come out of this, invitation to just reverse engineer how you got in. So maybe just the left leg slides back first, then the right leg. And you can just bring the upper body back to center and feel like the energetic difference between left and right here. Oh, excuse me. And even though I find that shape to be kind of subtle, the sensation to be a little subtle when I'm in the posture, when I come back to center, I realize, oh, wow, I really got to do this on the other side because I've pulled out and stretched the whole left side, and now it's time to balance it out. If you want a counter posture, just hug the knees in, circle them. I've got my bolster here and I'm going to give it a big hug, and that actually feels quite nice as well. Could hug a pillow or 2 pillows. Squeeze it tight and then prepare to come into bananasana on the second side. Just about 3 minutes here, but we start with sliding first the upper body off to the left. And then you'll slide that left leg off to the left. And incrementally start to bring the right leg over to the degree that it wants to. Maybe it crosses on top of the left ankle, right ankle on top of left ankle. And maybe arms are extended up over the ears, just to accentuate the shape and the curve of the banana, or the crescent moon, or the crescent roll, your choice. Nicely done. Go ahead and start coming back to the center incrementally. Take your time. One more counter pose here in the middle. And then we've got time to twist the spine, and we actually have time to do it for about 3 minutes on each side, which will be great. So I'll invite you, if you want, one of these twists where you cross the right leg over the left, you move the hips to the left. I'm sorry, the right, excuse me, let me say that again. Cross the right leg over the left, press into the left foot to move hips to the right, and then let the knees come to the left. And you could even look down at the knees and see, like, is there much distance between the earth and your knees? And if there is, place a block there. And really what you want to do then is kind of let the back of your right shoulder blade heavy towards the earth. You could sandbag it up there as well. The sandbag helps us to create just a little more tension usually. I guess it could be used for compression as well. If that wrap of the legs felt as though it was too much for you, you could simply just have the legs stacked, so the inner thighs are touching and aligned. And similarly, that block can be resting underneath the outside of the left leg, or the block could also be in between the legs. When you're ready, start to take the head back to center. You might undo the legs first to just create a little bit less weight on the legs as you then shift them back to center. You'll need to plant your feet into the earth to sway the hips back to center, and then hug the tunis into your chest, counter posture here, a couple of circles. This hugging of the knees into the chest is called apanasana. Really, apana is like the downward flow of energy. So it's a nice one to actually do if you're ever, trying to get things moving on an elimination level in the morning. But in the meantime, let's go to the second side. Cross your left leg over your right, press into your right foot to sway the hips to the left, and then let both legs fall off to the right. And to me, there's a fair amount of morning stretch wrapped up in this. So notice what you notice. Set yourself up with those blocks if you need them underneath the knees, or maybe even more weight for the left shoulder to move the left scapula closer back towards the earth. And then really it's just about getting into the mode of receptivity here. Breathing and being with what is. In whatever degree of sensation that you're experiencing it. It's such a big part of the yoga practice. It invites us to witness and to experience these fluctuations in sensation as well as the fluctuations of the mind and fluctuations of our emotional state, fluctuations of the environments that we find ourselves in, or the people that come in and out of our lives. And yet, at the seed of all of that, understanding it's all an abstraction of one singular thing. And at the core of our experience exists a stillness, a boundless and a timeless essential nature that each of us are made up of. And we tend to forget because there is so much movement and aliveness that exists in the world. Yoga gives us a gateway to remember our true nature, our true connectedness, our true togetherness. It's great. Go ahead and slowly come back to center, maybe undoing legs first to create a little bit less load as you rotate the spine back to center, press the heels into the earth, sway hips center, hug knees in one last time. Give yourself that hug, maybe even curling your forehead up towards your knees, wrapping your arms tightly around your shins before releasing into your shavasana, please. course, if there's anything else you need here, feel free to either pause the video or give that to yourself. We'll spend these last few moments resting in corpse pose. If you need more time here, please take it. If it feels like an okay time to start transitioning back, please deepen the breath, reintroduce some movement into the body, into the mind even, letting them operate synergistically in the way that they were designed to operate. Body, mind moving together with the breath. Slowly but surely do make your way back to your seat, where I'd love to invite us to just be for 1 minute. And it's a great opportunity to take stock and to notice any differences between your seat in the beginning of the practice and your seat at the end of the practice. To really bring the spine into integrity, throat back over the pelvis, rooting sensation of the sitting bones into the block or the support under you, and a rising sensation from the crown of the head, even into the couple of inches or centimeters that float above the head. And could you feel the space and sense that space that floats just a couple of inches off the surface of your body, whether it's your arms, whether it's your heart, whether it's your back. And is there here some essence that too is you? Namaste, yogis. Thanks so much for practicing. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know. Good to be with you, Brigitte, as always.
Thank you, Patrick. It was great.
Good, good. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.
Too. Bye.
Bye.